Hello, people. I'm Jaby KOAY, joined by Achara KIRK.
What's up?
We just finished watching SARPATTA PARAMBARAI, directed by Ranjith, written by Tamiz Parabha and Ranjith. If you guys haven't, you should check out our watch along before watching this review, just to see the moment-to-moment reactions.
Yeah.
This was a very, very interesting experience, this film. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah.
The first hour was a little bit strange because, there's this thing that I think collectively as the audience that we want to happen in the film. It takes a while to get there, but once the going gets going, it's like, okay, cool, we're in this adventure. And then the film takes a turn based on real-life political events.
Yeah.
And, the main character, Kabilan, is forced to pivot in order to, survive. And, he went through his own
he made some mistakes, too.
Well, he went through his own personal defeat because the match was kind of snatched out from under him. He ends up working for the characters of the streets that his mom was afraid of him, becoming part of.
Yeah.
Basically becoming a gangster, and he's got to work his way back up and redeem himself for everybody in his life, but most importantly, himself.
It felt like the trajectory of the story was like a roller coaster.
Yes,
it went
definitely.
up, then it went down, then it was like, oh my God, is he going to find a way up? And then it kind of went up, and then it went down again, and then it went up again. It was a wild ride.
I can definitely feel some of the inspiration. I don't know of any other Indian boxing films that this might have taken inspiration from, or what other Indian films in general this might have taken inspiration from, but I can definitely feel some of the American inspirations of, Raging Bull or Rocky or even Snatch, which borrowed from Raging Bull. Just like the visceral feeling of the shots and the editing and stuff. Snatch borrowed that from Raging Bull. And so I don't know if this director is familiar with Snatch. I imagine Ranjith is, but definitely that kind of visceral feeling. Even the way the water dripped off of his face towards the end is straight out of Raging Bull, which again got appropriated into Snatch. Most of the inspirations, I would say, came from Rocky or the Rocky series.
Yeah, I mean,
and of course the real life, counterpart to this.
Yeah, I would say it definitely reminded me of Rocky in that, it's about a guy who, he's an underdog, basically.
Correct.
And it's his journey to find fulfillment in himself, and it's his trajectory.
I went through an emotional roller coaster with the main character insofar as I wasn't sure how I felt about him, because initially I was like, okay, I'm rooting for him, he's the underdog, but then his character takes a turn in the film and you're like, who is this guy? I thought I was on his side, but now he's doing these things that I don't agree with at all morally. I don't like what he's doing, and that was actually a really good addition to the story because he came back from that. He fell from grace and then came back.
Yeah, because he fell from grace hard.
Right.
He was unrecognizable. Suddenly, he, like you said, he became everything that his mother didn't want him to be. And he was kind of following in the footsteps of his father. And we know what happened to his father is that his dad gets killed.
Right. So there's a famous Pokemon episode.
What? Okay.
Where Ash Ketchum goes up against this guy who's never really been in the field, but he's studied the shit out of Pokemon. And so he's technically good, but Ash Ketchum has real world experience, right? And so for me, I needed something in this movie. The one thing that was missing was something to indicate why our main character, Kabilan, has the edge that he does because he's just been watching, he's just been studying, but he has no experience. And so it's I just wanted something maybe he's been practicing with the bag and nobody knows. Or some kind of thing that he's got going on where it's that's exactly what he implements in the ring. That's why he's able to take on these guys who have been training when he is completely untrained. I mean, is it possible that you have a guy who's completely untrained to step into the ring after watching his whole life to be able to implement that knowledge? Absolutely, that's possible. I don't know the likelihood, though.
Yeah, you'd have to be some sort of crazy prodigy because, you need that physical fitness. And it's that thing that he was talking about, which is that mind-body connection, where everything is just firing on all cylinders and it's working really well together. I don't know if you can just get that by reading books.
Right, but morale and spirit are definitely a big part of being able to stand toe-to-toe with your opponent. And it's when his coach came in that final fight, it's that's what brought him back to life, because otherwise it's that's what he needed to get back on his feet again. And so I think that when he was stepping back into the ring for the first time, when he was all heavy and whatnot, his spirit wasn't there. He didn't have the support of anybody around him that he needed.
Well, yeah, because he was disowned by the coach and by the clan and everything. And speaking of the clan, I'm going to be honest, that part of it was a little bit confusing to me. I kind of get it.
What was confusing?
I mean, I get what the stakes are, but is it just that it's the pride of the clan that they're fighting for? Like, does anyone get to rule anything more than anyone else? Okay.
It's title. But that's what title is in the real world. Like, when you are in an MMA fight or a boxing fight of some kind, it's just the title of being able to say you're undefeated or you are the champion. All that it comes down to. Like, what the clans control in the real world, I have no idea. It didn't really dive into that because that's not really what the film was about. But he did say that the clan started as one to fight against the Brits, and then there was a division, like Martin Luther splitting from Catholicism, and then there was another division and another division.
Right.
And eventually that's how you got these different clans that are now fighting each other. And I kind of wish that aspect of it was sort of resolved at the end of the film, but that's not really what the point was. I was hoping that there was this sort of unity that was going to happen. I thought that maybe there was going to be an English combatant again, just like in Ip Man 2. You know, I thought that might happen here to unite the clan so that they're one people again. But obviously they demonstrated in the film that there's so much pride that that was just never going to happen. There's this middle part of the movie that I really wanted to talk about where he was going through his transformation into the underbelly of society, where he was becoming a gangster and he was becoming a drunkard.
Right.
And, you know, that was a very, very interesting exploration and montage because I wasn't sure how I was feeling about it initially, and the only reason why I was sort of having reservations about it was because sometimes they were speeding up the footage. But once I got past that, I realized how much I appreciated that whole sequence because it's a quick descent into hell.
Yeah, no, I noticed that as well. And like, oh, this is interesting, like, because it feels like a lot of jump cuts as well.
Again, very Martin Scorsese, just so you know. Like,
oh, really?
He does that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, but then I was like, oh yeah, no, I dig it because I like that it's not kind of taking its time showing you him kind of falling apart and making wrong decisions and turning into a drunk. It's like, it's a very quick turnaround. And as an audience, we understand that very, very quickly. And we're like, okay, we're on board. This is where the character's going. And it's really sad because he starts out as someone who is very promising. Like, he's like really, you know, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, kind of naive, really innocent, but like with a talent and everything. And like, we want to get behind this guy. And then all of a sudden, he makes one bad decision. I think it was that crucial moment in the restaurant when he picked up the machete and like he let his temper get the best of him and he slashed that guy. And then after that, it was like, whoo, downhill from there. And I was like, what is this movie?
I wish that the film found a way to, I mean, this is a long movie, but I wish that for us, for Americans, it's a long film. I wish that the film found a way to deeper explore his personal hang-ups, like with his father and all that stuff, because it didn't seem to be very, very present. They showed one flashback. I mean, it was sort of there constantly in the background of like, your father did this, your father was this, and it's like constantly talked about. And then you got one scene where you saw what happened with his dad right in front of his eyes, and I was like, okay, that was cool. I wish that there was something almost borderline Hamlet that allowed me to see even deeper into that and what he was wrestling with and what he was carrying.
Well, because you imagine that if something like that happened where a parent gets killed right in front of your eyes, that's an extremely traumatic event.
Exactly.
Like, that's probably a 10 on the scale of trauma, right? And that's something that will affect you all the way into adulthood. And it was interesting that, like you said, it was only shown in that one part. And yeah, it would have been cool to kind of explore that effect on his psyche more.
Yeah, I think it would have helped the film, at least emotionally, to anchor me even more into his character.
To kind of feel him overcoming his demons and everything, yeah.
I think it would have made the film feel more personal for me, because as it was, for me, it was more like I was a fly on the wall, just sort of watching all this stuff unfold. But I wanted to get even deeper in touch with this character, and I think that the dad was a way to root us into him even more, and that was a lost opportunity, because it only lightly explored that. And I felt like it wasn't cool that he didn't shout out the coach at the end that actually trained him on the beach and stuff like that.
I know. I was like, okay, like, I get it. Coach Rangan is like your OG coach, but like, come on, dude on the beach trained you. Like, he took your fat ass and he made you a contender again. I think you deserve to shout out that coach too. But okay, whatever.
Pasupathy, I believe, is the actor playing Rangan.
Yes.
And he was probably my favorite actor in the film.
He was amazing.
There was something about the way he carried himself and the way he responded to everybody, even the little looks. Like, there was something in just his behavior that felt so real. I didn't feel like I was watching an actor. I felt like I was watching someone behave as this person.
Yeah, because he had such gravitas as well. And for being an older guy, you know, who's not in his prime physically, he still carried a lot of power, which was totally believable as the coach and as the leader of the political party. I think he was the leader or some important member, right?
Yeah.
That he could give you one look and you would just wither away.
Right.
You know,
you'd know exactly what
you
that
knew
look was
exactly
like.
what that look was. And like, yeah, he was really, really powerful. I liked him a lot as well.
Right. I mean, he obviously was a person of tough love. That was being expressed a lot in this film. Like, get out of here, I'm going to kill you. But like, you don't actually see him kill anybody. It's just him just being very dramatic.
But like, there was also that kind of, I don't know if it's a theme, but like that little bit where he was the type of guy who would discount his own son and choose a contender that was worthy, right? But even his son had an arc too, because he started out as someone who was just very jealous and like was making wrong choices and all of that. And in the end, he redeems himself. But you do wonder, like, what if the coach had been maybe a little bit more caring towards his son, maybe a little bit more sensitive? Like, okay, I get it. You don't have to make him the person who's going to go in the ring and fight for the clan, but like maybe like properly explain to him and take into account his emotions.
You're assuming that these are white people. These are Asians. Like,
oh yeah, that's true.
You don't.
That's true.
And furthermore, no matter what, you don't take sides against the family. No matter what, you just don't take sides against the family.
That was his bad choice, you
Yeah.
know. But he redeemed himself and helped Kabilan make it to the match at the end. So he had a nice little arc as well.
Yeah, I thought just all around the cast in this film was really darn good because no one to me felt like an actor. Everyone to me felt like these people are real and you're watching them actually in their element doing this thing. By in their element, I mean in this environment, from this world. Now, that's me speaking as someone who doesn't speak Tamil, who is unfamiliar with the language beyond watching the films.
Right.
So for me, as an outsider, as a foreigner, like, it felt real. And I thought they did a fantastic job. I'm still not used to the over display of emotion that is exhibited in Tamil and Telugu films. It's like, it's so much, and I understand. I've been corrected and told that like it's very real.
Yeah,
that's how they behave, and like that's part of the culture and whatnot. Like for me, that's so foreign, and it's like, whoa, okay. So I have to constantly like put myself in check and go, well, that's just part of this environment and this world.
I think at this point I've accepted that is just culturally what it's like, and in a way, it's almost freeing, to not be bound by the rules of, I have to keep my emotions in. It's really interesting that this is, culturally it's acceptable to just kind of lose your shit and just like wail and just be like, Wah! And just lose it, like, because you feel it, you know what I mean? And so I'm watching that and I'm like, ooh, yeah, I feel it. I feel it when mom's having a screaming match and when the wife is losing her mind.
I like my favorite scene with the mom. I would imagine this is the same for anybody else. My favorite scene with the mom was when she finally came around, when he was begging her towards the end of the film.
Yeah.
And, not towards the end, but like the last third of the film, when he's begging her, like, Mom, like, put me back in your womb. I'm so safe with you. And she's just
that's
like
heartbreaking.
She's just trying to like keep it together, and then when she has that like that 180 where she's finally like, no, you have to do this now for everybody, including yourself. I was like, wow, this is cool. Like, everybody, at least on the protagonist side, has an arc.
Yeah,
and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
The film did a good job of giving just about everybody in this film some kind of an arc. With our main character, Kabilan, he went through a couple of arcs.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting journey, to say the least.
He went through several metamorphoses. It was very satisfying to see him come out on top at the end.
I would love to know from people who have studied boxing what they felt about the fight scenes in this movie.
I was going to ask you.
I don't know how to feel about the fight scenes, other than like the street brawls. I thought some of the street brawls were pretty interesting, the way that it was shot and edited and choreographed and whatnot, executed in general, because there was like some really close calls with the swords and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like the way that fighting was conducted, I actually thought they did a pretty good job with the street brawls. As far as the boxing's concerned, like, I've studied boxing very minutely, and I'm like, that none of that is acceptable. Like locking someone's arm up and punching their shoulder out.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that, and so I don't know if that's actually allowed in the ring back then, or if that's still allowed in the ring today. Like, there was some things that were I consider shady, like what I would say below the belt. It's like you can't do those moves. It's like punch into the back of the head. You can't do that either.
But if you notice, that was all stuff that Wembley did, and that's character. Because his character is underhanded. And so that's a character choice to be like, he's basically not really playing by the rules, or at least not being a good sport. And the prime example of that was when he did the winky wink or whatever to get the other guy.
I couldn't even properly see the wink, to be honest with you.
I know. I was like, I feel like you're reading too much into this guy. Like, but he's just, it's like a half close.
It seemed like everybody just kind of accepted that it was a wink and he cheated. Like, especially the guy who lost to Kabilan before.
Raman.
Who was probably my favorite, I guess, bad guy in the movie. In terms of like people who went into the ring and like with Kabilan, because he had
Rose, was it? Do you mean Rose?
Rose. Yeah. Because he had the most honor out of everybody. Like, he came in, he did his thing, and he lost. And he lost fair and square, and he recognized that. And he wanted his pound of flesh, but he recognized honor.
Yeah, and he was like, dude, you cheated.
Yeah.
No, he was cool.
Who was the bigger dude who ended up getting like the sword across his face? I forgot his name.
Thaniga?
Okay.
I'm not sure.
His name is so interesting to me. But anyway.
Raman's uncle.
Yeah. His name just looks like something borderline racist in American. That guy was someone that you love to hate.
Oh, yeah.
He's a character that's very, very well designed in terms of the writing, in terms of the acting, the performance, and everything, in terms of what his character does. I thought his character was very, very well designed because you just wanted to hit him. You just wanted to see him get hit.
Yeah.
And that's the mark of good writing to me, and good filmmaking, and good acting, because when you hate someone so much, it really is a collaborative creative effort to achieve that, because it's not easy to create a character that you not only believe, but you hate him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's difficult. That's not an easy thing to do. And so I thought they did a fantastic job there. Speaking of fantastic job, I thought the actor Arya did a great job of getting into shape, man. I don't know. I don't know if he put on weight for this role. I don't know if he pulled a Robert De Niro or a Christian Bale, but the way he moved when he was heavier was believable. Mm-hmm. And when you saw him like find his Super Saiyan form at the end of the movie, I was like, God damn, like he looked like Sylvester Stallone in Rocky 3. Like, that was the fittest I've ever seen Sylvester Stallone look.
Right.
And he looked just like Sylvester Stallone in Rocky 3. I was like, good God. Like, he was chiseled.
Yeah.
His bulked out shoulders with the abs, the chest, and everything. I was so impressed with that. It's like, to me, it's hard enough to do that shit, right? To get in shape. But to put on top of that the great acting that his performance in this film, it's like, to be able to combine those two things is amazing to me. Because, like, he's doing a difficult role. It's easy to be a guy who's just angry or loud. He's not loud. He's like, he's dealing with shit. I mean, I don't know how much his father's death factored into the Arya determining his own performance.
The preparation.
Yeah. But the way he was behaving felt quite real to me. Mm-hmm. And the way he evolved over the course of the film felt realistic. And I liked his performance quite a bit. And so to be able to marry that performance with that kind of physical training is stellar to me. Like, that is not something to be overlooked. Like, I'm floored at all of that was involved in him achieving this character. I thought the music up until
anyone on Patreon already knows how Jaby feels about the Nye Oli music video.
I just found it distracting at the end. I'm like, why are the hip hop music?
You know what? Honestly, I did find it a little bit distracting at the end of the movie too, because I was kind of like, all this lyrical stuff is kind of like pulling me out of it. Like, I love the beat. I think that was cool. And I actually really enjoyed the version of the song that was not the version that we saw or that we listened to in the music video.
Mm-hmm. The beach training is what you're talking about.
The beach training montage. Like, I thought that was really cool, and that the lyrics were very meaningful for that moment. But overall, I thought the music was really great at just kind of getting you in the headspace of, I just want to be the best.
I think the only thing that would have made this movie a little bit better for me is if we had an Adrian moment of some kind towards the end. I wouldn't have minded if they just straight up ripped it off, because what makes that so wonderful in Rocky is that he's not really concerned with the victory. He's more concerned with the woman he loves. It kind of brings me back to the Amir Khan film, Dangal, where Amir Khan says, "Now I'm proud of you," only after, I know it's based on a true story, so it's a little bit different. It's not right to compare. But it was at that moment at the end of Dangal where he's like, now I'm proud of you. Now I'm proud to be your father or something like that. I'm like, what? So you weren't proud of her this whole time?
Yeah.
Like it irked me. Yeah. It irked me that was what he said. Like I wanted it to be like Mulan where, Mulan shows up with the sword and the medal of, the spoils of victory. And the dad goes, boom, he just drops it. He goes, I have the greatest prize right here, my daughter.
Oh my God.
I wanted something like that out of Dangal. And so I kind of was low-key hoping for something like that here. I know that that's asking for way too much.
With his mom?
With his mom, with his wife, with his, like, who cares about the clan at this point? Like, who gives a shit? Like, you went the distance, you did your thing, you restored the honor that, like, you needed to do for your dad. Now, like...
I wanted it to be more of, like, that it was his honor.
Sure.
Less so about all the other externals and everyone else shouting in your ear about like, get up, fight, win for the clan or whatever. It's like, no, I'm doing this for me. Like to prove to myself that I'm the best and that I can train this hard and I have the skill to beat this guy who's been winning all the time.
Do you remember at the end of 8 Mile?
Yeah.
When he has the rap battle?
Mm-hmm.
And the movie's wrapping up, and they ask Eminem, "What are you gonna do now?" And he goes, "I'm gonna go back to work." I loved that ending, and maybe what could have worked here is if what are you gonna do now? He looks at his coach. He goes, "Can you still get me a job?" Like the idea,
right?
The idea being that he's like this. He's done what he had to do.
Yeah, he's proved himself.
He's hanging his gloves now, and he's gonna go get a real job to make his wife and his mom proud. I think that's what I needed. Because, like, it ended on this whole clan thing, and I'm like, I didn't even give a shit about the clan. Like, I just cared about your personal journey and the relationships you had.
Right,
and so I think that's what bothered me a little bit about that.
Honestly, when it ended like that, I was kind of thinking, like, oh, okay. We're just going to end on the fight like this? Like, there's nothing else? There's no, like, epilogue? Or
Well, maybe there's a Marvel ending where it's just Iron Man will return or something. But
who knows? We missed it if that's the case.
Have Kabbalah go up against Hulk. Overall, though, I enjoyed the experience of the film.
Yeah.
And I thought that the performances were strong. A lot of the writing was strong, and the music was strong, except for some of the lyrical stuff for me, but at the very end. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this movie, and I find it to be a film that I would recommend with to my friends or family. It certainly had me on my toes.
Yes.
It felt visceral.
Yes.
Where it needed to, and so yeah, like I bought into this journey. Those 3 hours went by quick.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and let us know your feelings in the comments below. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is
Achara KIRK.
Peace out.